Following up directly on a previous discussion about integrating multiple instruments of national power, welcome to the final session of this military strategy course.
Right, and आज का session is probably the most critical one.
Exactly. क्योंकि आज हम unrestricted warfare की पूरी philosophy को decode करने वाले हैं. And this entire discussion, it revolves around one central question. What should every military professional remember about the future of warfare?
That is the ultimate question, and honestly, it requires us to completely rethink our baseline assumptions about conflict.
I mean, if we look at the history of warfare, Sun Tzu और Napoleon के era से लेकर right up to the Gulf War in 1991, the fundamental mechanics of war were largely constant, ना?
हाँ, बिल्कुल. Armies essentially modern warfare के traditional principles follow कर रही थी. Focus हमेशा mass, momentum, and, destroying the enemy's main kinetic force पर होता था.
Right.
लेकिन Gulf War के दौरान और उसके बाद, the entire paradigm shifted. We saw the introduction of precision-guided weapons and, more importantly, non-military weapons का integration शुरू हो गया.
So it completely altered that historical mad dash towards pure physical lethality.
Exactly. Physical destruction alone was no longer the only path to victory.
Wait, let me push back on that for a second. अगर non-military weapons और precision technology ने सब कुछ बदल दिया है, तो क्या पुराने rules अब completely useless हैं?
I know where you're going with this.
I mean, does unrestricted warfare mean that we just throw the rule book out the window? क्या ये शतरंज की खेल में अचानक नए मोहरे जोड़ने जैसा है, जहां कोई rules ही नहीं है?
Not at all. That is actually a very common misconception. Unrestricted does not mean abandoning rules entirely.
अच्छा?
The core constraint to what we call beyond limits combined war is that essential principles still govern the battlefield. Unrestricted warfare refers to the unrestricted use of measures, not unrestricted strategies.
So you mean rules को तोड़ना सिर्फ एक rare exception होना चाहिए?
बिल्कुल. Deliberate calculation के बाद ही आप rules तोड़ते हैं. The foundation remains intact, but the application has broadened massively. And that brings us to the first essential principle of this new era. Omni-directionality.
Omni-directionality. Let's make this concrete. Traditional war एक football match की तरह था, जहां एक clear field और defined boundaries थे, right?
Right, a bounded space.
लेकिन omni-directionality एक ऐसी approach है, जैसे आप field पे football खेल रहे हैं, and suddenly कोई audience में से आकर referee को bribe कर दे, या stadium की power supply cut कर दे. The game is no longer just happening on the grass.
That captures the essence perfectly. In conventional warfare, the battlefield was visually defined, land, sea, or air. But today, there are no blind spots allowed.
It's like a full 360-degree vision is required.
Exactly. Society, military, politics, economics, culture, and even human psyche, ये सब directly battlefields बन चुके हैं.
So basically, technological spaces act as the connective tissue linking all these domains together.
हाँ. And the distinction between a confrontation involving professional soldiers versus a conflict involving ordinary citizens and civilian experts, it has completely vanished into true multi-domain operations.
Okay, so the spatial domains have expanded infinitely. But what about the dimension of time?
That is our next principle.
Because historically, warfare was strictly phased. Phase 1, secure the staging area. Phase 2, conduct deep strikes. Phase 3, hold the territory.
Right.
अगर इतने सारे डोमेन्स एक साथ एक्टिव हैं, तो टाइम और फेजिंग को कैसे मैनेज किया जाता है?
Time management in warfare has undergone a massive revolution, which leads to the principle of synchrony. Technology has drastically shrunk the course of warfare.
So things happen much faster.
Much faster and simultaneously. Instead of sequential phasing, actions are now executed across completely different spaces and domains in the exact same period of time.
So synchrony has completely overtaken phasing in importance.
Absolutely.
Can we break down the mechanics of this designated time warfare? How does a military actually synchronize actions across cyber, physical, and psychological domains simultaneously?
Look at the operational doctrine of the US military. With their current command and control technology, their information campaign systems can process and distribute data for 4,000 different targets to 1,200 aircrafts within a single minute.
That is insane.
Within 1 minute.
Huh. The traditional model of pushing slowly from the periphery into the enemy's depth is totally obsolete now. Instead, you launch a full-depth simultaneous attack,
So some actions happen in cyberspace, blinding radar,
while some happen on the ground destroying infrastructure.
and some happen in the information space, causing panic.
Right.
The action is scattered geographically, but temporally, it happens at the exact same moment to achieve absolute surprise and maximum effectiveness.
Here is where I see a major contradiction.
Tell me.
अगर हमारे operations इतने massive और simultaneous हैं, logic dictates that our strategic objectives should also be massive. But one of the core tenets of unrestricted warfare is limited objectives and unlimited measures.
Right.
Why would a military possess unlimited capabilities but deliberately choose to keep its goals small?
Because aligning unlimited objectives with unlimited measures is a guaranteed recipe for strategic collapse.
मतलब bankruptcy.
Exactly. The principle dictates that objectives must always be smaller than the available measures. We gather unlimited measures to maximize our options and ensure overwhelming flexibility.
Not so we can spend them recklessly.
Bilkul. Whenever an actor's objectives exceed the capacity of their resources, defeat becomes a mathematical certainty.
So it is kind of similar to a startup company that gets a massive round of funding.
How so?
If they try to conquer every global market simultaneously, just because they have the cash, they burn through their capital and go bankrupt.
Exactly.
They need to use that massive funding, the unlimited measure, to dominate one specific limited market first.
That is a perfect analogy, and military history is littered with exactly that kind of strategic bankruptcy.
For example,
Think of General MacArthur expanding his objectives to push to the Yalu River in the Korean War,
right.
or America's massive overreach in Vietnam, or the Soviets getting completely bogged down trying to control all of Afghanistan. In every single case, they attempted to achieve unlimited objectives and failed disastrously.
So who got it right?
For a successful application of this principle, look at General Sherman's advance towards Savannah during the American Civil War.
Oh, Sherman's march to the sea. How exactly did that demonstrate limited objectives?
Well, Sherman did not make it his objective to chase down and annihilate the Southern Army head-to-head. That would have been a massive, potentially unlimited objective.
Right, that would have drained his forces.
Exactly. Instead, he defined a limited objective: destroy the Confederacy's economic capacity and psychological will to fight.
Okay.
And to achieve this limited goal, he deployed unlimited measures. His troops burned crops, destroyed railway lines, and completely dismantled the civilian infrastructure supporting the war effort.
Basically breaking the backbone.
He used unlimited, devastating measures rationally to secure a very specific, limited outcome.
That makes sense for a massive military force, but what happens when the dynamic is flipped?
What do you mean?
I mean, if massive militaries have all this technology for synchrony and unlimited measures, shouldn't they be invincible? Why did a superpower struggle so profoundly in places like Somalia in the 1990s?
That brings us to the principle of asymmetry, which remains the absolute foundation of strategic advantage.
Asymmetry.
Asymmetry means deliberately seeking nodes of action in the completely opposite direction from the contours of symmetry. You refuse to fight the enemy where they are strong.
You strike the soft spots where they are least prepared.
Precisely.
Let me unpack the mechanism there. Traditional armies prepare for a symmetrical fight, right? Tanks against tanks, jets against jets.
Right.
So when a conventional force enters a conflict, they're looking for a mirror image to fight.
And when they don't find it, they are completely paralyzed. In 1993 in Somalia, the US had overwhelming conventional and technological superiority. But the insurgents didn't line up in a desert to be bombed.
They embedded themselves within complex urban terrain.
Exactly. They used cell-structured networks and deployed cheap RPGs against highly advanced helicopters. The same asymmetrical dynamic played out in the Chechen resistance against Russian armor.
So it's like traditional powerful armies sometimes feel like an elephant in a china shop when facing terrorists or hackers.
That is beautifully put. Asymmetry is essentially the strategy of a swarm of bees fighting a heavyweight boxer.
Wow, right.
The boxer has enough kinetic power to kill a bee with one punch, but that power is entirely irrelevant against a decentralized, asymmetrical threat. Force superiority is rendered useless, and victory depends entirely on decision superiority.
This reminds me briefly of the complexities in Operation Pawan in Sri Lanka. The conventional forces were dealing with highly motivated insurgent tactics in dense terrain.
Exactly. The Indian peacekeeping force went in structured for conventional warfare but faced an adversary using complete asymmetry. The tactics, the civilian blurring, it was a massive learning curve about asymmetric environments.
And conversely, if we look at the 1962 Sino-Indian War, that was much more of a conventional, linear campaign over physical territory. Very different from the multi-domain operations we are talking about today.
Exactly. But bringing it back to today's integrated domains, if the battlefield requires integrating cyber, economic, military, and insurgent tactics, how does a commander prevent total chaos?
That was exactly my next question. How do you deploy these wildly different forces without them tripping over each other?
Through combination warfare and the principle of minimal consumption.
Minimal consumption, like saving money.
Not just financial thrift. It means the most rational, efficient use of available resources. Contrast the Battle of Verdun in World War I with the German Blitzkrieg in World War II.
Verdun was just brutal.
It was a senseless meat grinder,
Ah.
a symmetrical war of attrition, where both sides poured endless lives and artillery into a complete stalemate.
And Blitzkrieg?
Blitzkrieg, however, combined the shortest time, optimal routes, and powerful weapons in a synchronized manner to shatter defenses efficiently.
Right.
Today, combination warfare requires multidimensional coordination. We must seamlessly combine military and non-military forces.
But integrating military and non-military forces brings up a huge ethical and legal dilemma, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
If a central banker manipulating currency exchange rates or a civilian computer programmer writing malware are now critical components of integrated national power, doesn't that make them combatants?
It does blur the lines significantly.
Does unrestricted warfare completely destroy the Geneva Conventions by turning civilians into soldiers?
It definitely blurs the legal lines, which is exactly why the future battlefield is so dangerous. The new battlefield has expanded far beyond kinetic operations into areas where traditional laws of armed conflict struggle to apply.
Because it's not just land, sea, and air anymore.
Exactly. Information, cyber, finance, law, media, and diplomacy are all weaponized now. These are gray zone tactics.
Gray zone tactics, meaning actions that achieve strategic goals but remain just below the threshold of conventional armed conflict.
Precisely. You don't declare war, but you are absolutely fighting one.
Let's look at the mechanics of these gray zone tactics. How exactly does cyber warfare operate as a strategic weapon? I mean, beyond just stealing data.
Take the 2007 cyber attacks on Estonia.
Oh, that was a watershed moment.
It really was. Estonia decided to relocate a Soviet-era bronze statue, which angered Russia, and suddenly Estonia was hit by massive DDoS attacks.
Distributed denial of service, meaning millions of fake internet requests are flooded into a system simultaneously.
Yes, and the servers of the Estonian parliament, banks, ministries, and media outlets were so overwhelmed they physically crashed.
An entire nation's digital infrastructure was paralyzed for weeks.
And not a single physical bullet was fired.
We are seeing the exact same dynamic in economic warfare too. It is not just about tariffs, it is about weaponizing global dependencies.
Exactly, like the 2018 US sanctions against Huawei.
Right. That wasn't just a trade dispute. It was a calculated move to deny an adversary dominance in 5G infrastructure.
Because 5G is the backbone of future intelligence.
Or look at the weaponization of supply chains. If a single nation controls the processing of rare earth minerals required for advanced electronics.
They hold a strategic choke point over every modern military on Earth.
Exactly. It's financial warfare and economic warfare rolled into one.
And perhaps the most pervasive domain today is information warfare and social media manipulation.
Oh, completely.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, we witnessed masked diplomacy combined with aggressive disinformation campaigns to reshape global narratives.
And state-backed entities utilizing platforms like TikTok to exploit political divisions.
And manipulate the human psyche. The mechanism here is psychological warfare and psychological attrition. As Sun Tzu stated centuries ago, the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting.
Subdue the enemy without fighting. A manufactured stock market crash, a self-replicating computer virus, or an algorithmic echo chamber spreading panic. These are the new concept weapons of our era.
Without a doubt.
Applying this theoretical framework to India's specific security environment paints a very sobering picture, doesn't it? We are entirely surrounded by gray zone conflicts and strategic competition.
The implications for India are profound and immediate. Pakistan has relied on proxy war for decades.
Knowing they cannot achieve force superiority in a conventional war?
Exactly. So they adopted a thousand-cut strategy. They fund, train, and arm non-state actors, terrorist organizations like LET and JEM.
These proxies provide plausible deniability while functioning as a classic asymmetrical tool to bleed the adversary and increase the cost of war.
Right. And on the northern front, China utilizes a totally different spectrum of unrestricted warfare.
They combine charm offensives with death trap diplomacy.
Yes, particularly in the South China Sea and across the Indian Ocean region. They offer infrastructure aid packages to economically stressed nations.
But every port built comes with hidden strategic strings that eventually compromise the host nation's sovereignty.
Exactly. It's legal warfare and economic warfare disguised as aid.
This raises a critical operational question, though.
What's that?
If adversaries are bypassing our borders using digital propaganda, cyber breaches, and economic coercion, are conventional ground troops becoming obsolete? Do we still need massive kinetic forces?
They're absolutely not obsolete. And understanding why is the key to true comprehensive national power.
Okay, unpack that for us.
No matter how sophisticated information warfare becomes, physical reality still dictates strategic outcomes. The Doklam standoff is a perfect illustration of this mechanism.
How so?
China's state media and information machinery were operating at maximum capacity, deploying severe psychological warfare to break India's resolve.
Right. There were endless videos and articles projecting dominance.
But an information campaign cannot physically occupy a mountain pass.
Wow, yes.
The tactical performance, persistence, and physical presence of Indian foot soldiers on the ground completely neutralized the digital noise. Conventional military power is the bedrock.
It is the anchor upon which all non-military instruments are built. You cannot tweet away an entrenched infantry battalion.
Exactly. So the physical and the digital must operate together.
How is India's defense strategy evolving to handle this integration? How do we actually build this integrated national power?
Well, India is fundamentally transitioning its approach from a reactive posture to a proactive, integrated strategy.
Right.
The adoption of the three-pillared security doctrine is a major conceptual shift.
Right.
Under this, proxy war is no longer treated as a localized law enforcement issue. It is dealt with directly as an act of war.
And what about the physical borders?
Physical borders are being fortified through the CIBMS, the Comprehensive Integrated Border Management System.
And this isn't just barbed wire anymore.
No, it integrates thermal imaging, ground sensors, and real-time data feeds.
So that's the physical side. What about the digital borders?
By empowering cybersecurity institutions like CERTIN, our National Computer Emergency Response Team, and the NTRO, which handles technical intelligence.
So the ultimate objective is to integrate all military and non-military forces to achieve decision superiority.
Precisely. That is the essence of combination warfare.
This has been incredibly deep. To bring all of these complex concepts into focus, let's build the rapid integrated mental revision that we promised. A step-by-step framework connecting the evolution of modern conflict.
Let's do it.
Let's trace the chain. So it begins with the fundamental catalyst. The technology revolution directly leads to an expanded battle space.
And because the battle space has expanded, it forces the integration of military, trans-military, and non-military warfare.
And to navigate this integrated warfare, we must redefine the rules of victory, which now rely heavily on the principle of asymmetry.
Utilizing asymmetry necessitates combination warfare, ensuring we deploy our assets with minimal consumption.
But that combination warfare must always remain grounded in the essential principles, like synchrony and limited objectives.
And finally, these principles are continuously applied across the new battlefield. ultimately shaping the reality of future warfare.
Perfect. And if there is a single strategic framework, a unified blueprint that every military professional must internalize to navigate this complexity, what does it look like?
It flows like this. It all originates with a clear political vision.
That vision directs the building of comprehensive national power.
Harnessing that power requires strategic integration across every sector.
Strategic integration is what makes true multi-domain operations possible.
Executing those operations successfully yields decision superiority.
And decision superiority is the ultimate guarantor of national security.
Exactly.
As we conclude this military strategy course, I want to leave everyone with the definitive quote that encapsulates our entire study.
Unrestricted warfare is not a replacement for conventional warfare. It is a broader strategic framework that integrates every instrument of national power to achieve national objectives in an increasingly interconnected world.
सोचने वाली बात यह है कि जब वॉर और पीस के बीच का डिस्टिंक्शन कंप्लीटली इरेज हो चुका है और हर डिजिटल डिवाइस, हर सप्लाई चेन एक वेपन बन चुकी है, तो क्या हम टेक्निकली आज इसी वक्त एक ग्लोबल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट के बीच में बैठे हैं बिना रियलाइज किए कि वॉर ऑलरेडी शुरू हो चुकी है?